This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where each week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be speaking to Filip from Quantox Technology. Adult Site Broker is proud to announce the launch of our new website at adultsitebroker.com. We've added some enhancements to the site, such as FAQs and a complete new platform. The look and feel of the new site is nice and up to date. The new site also has links to our marketplace and affiliate program. Plus, don't forget ASB Marketplace, the first platform where you can buy and sell adult sites and domains for free. ASB Marketplace allows buyers and sellers the chance to come together on properties that are valued below our company's minimum of $50,000. Don't pay for other marketplaces when ASB Marketplace gives you this service for free. Visit asbmarketplace.com and sign up as a seller or as a buyer today. And of course, there's ASB Cash, the first affiliate program for an adult website brokerage, where you can earn as much as 20% of our broker commission, referring sellers and buyers to us at Adult Site Broker. Check out asbcash.com for more details and to sign up. Now let's feature our property of the week that's for sale at Adult Site Broker. Actually, our property of the week this week is a reminder that we always have some private listings available in addition to what you see on our website and in our newsletters. Right now, we have a cam site, dating sites, and pay sites available. We often have other types of sites as well. In these cases, the owner of the site is usually expressing the utmost care to make sure that the identity of their site or company doesn't get out for a variety of reasons. These are also generally larger listings with big revenues. If you're interested in finding out more about our private listings, please complete our buyer's NDA on our website and contact us to see if you qualify. Next Monday on the Hanky Panky podcast, Coral and Jewel will interview porn actress and podcast host Lily Craven. You can find the Hanky Panky podcast at hankypankypodcast.com and wherever fine podcasts can be heard. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is Filip, Chief Executive Officer of Quantox Technology, the leading development and outsourcing company in the adult and affiliate spaces. Filip, thanks for being with us today on Adult Site Broker Talk.
Hey, Bruce. Always happy to join you and great to talk to you.
Now, Filip has been on our podcast before, and if you haven't listened to the first go-round when we were like in our second month, I suggest you do. There's some great information in there. Now, here's a bit about Quantox. Quantox has been doing development and outsourcing work in the adult and affiliate spaces for over 15 years. They've grown to over 350 people. Man, that's awesome. Including developers, programmers, customer support agents, virtual assistants, and more. They do all types of web and mobile development, including native apps. Now, at Quantox, your employee, not to mention your project, won't suddenly disappear and run away. God knows I've had that happen. Now, that's because they're a company and not an individual, so you know your project will be completed. Their staff speak and write in fluent English. Again, unlike many competitors. With a dedicated staff, your project will be done on a cost-efficient basis, and since they're offshore, you're going to save money. They're frequent sponsors of industry trade shows, so you see Filip, Vuk, Dan, and the rest of the team often. So, Filip, how has the pandemic affected your industry?
Hey, Bruce. So yeah, we are now basically 2 years into this pandemic, and basically, after the all initial shock and big changes that we have been through, things are kind of getting back to normal because it's definitely this new normal, how they call it right now, where many things are changed, and what we are witnessing right now is that many things that seemed like temporary change are actually here to stay. Mm-hmm. Probably one of them is remote work.
Yes.
Our team is operating in 6 different countries, and we are working with clients from many more regions and countries, and conditions are different. Somewhere people are back in the office and trying to, get back to work as usual. but also we are seeing that in many regions, people are working remotely, and even companies are deciding to switch on this strategy and to work remotely, because obviously there are some challenges, but also there are a lot of positive sides of this thing. So we have seen many changes also in the industry itself. These are different business models. Some went up, some went down, some had to accommodate and change. So it was definitely very, very dynamic period behind this.
For sure. Now, with the pandemic, we have a new era of remote work, as you alluded to. What's the best way to deal with it?
Well, yeah, basically, few years ago, we as a company had to invest a lot of additional effort to explain to our clients how remote work is actually being done. Because many of them were used to hiring only in-house people working from the same office, from the same building, being physically present.
Sure.
But nowadays, this changed, as you said. And basically, I actually did one conference like a few weeks ago, and I was very surprised because, from being like a company where probably 8 of 10 people would tell us, thank you, but we are doing in-house. Now it's like everybody's very interested when they see like, nearshoring, offshoring, outsourcing, remote work. And they even if they don't really need development services, they are kind of keen to just like talk with us and maybe get some information and some hints and tips. And that's actually how I got the idea that perhaps one of the topics on our today's agenda should be just discussing the perks and challenges of remote work. So
sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I think overall that I'd say virtually every company now accepts the fact that remote work for development and many other services is just a fact of life.
Exactly. Like we are seeing like and hearing from our clients from adult industry that they are also experiencing challenges where basically right now some huge mainstream companies are taking their employees, and hiring them as a remote. So basically, I just recently talked with one of our clients from Canada, and they're having huge challenges with big mainstream names like Apple, like Shopify, like Microsoft, who are in US but in same time zone, and they are massively hiring their people and sending them like really huge offers that are hard to compete with.
Okay. So as an IT company with hundreds of employees, you become a bit of an expert on remote work. Now, what advice do you have for other companies dealing with this, and what are the challenges?
Well, yeah, definitely there are some things that people need to be aware of. Even before the pandemic, we as a company offered 2 months of remote work to each and every employee during the year. So this was kind of advantage for us when the pandemic happened, because we already have all the procedures, but also all the infrastructure that you need in place so that basically we can be working remotely. But when I say working remotely now, this is the first thing that I would like to quickly cover and explain, because people usually use work from home and remote work as the same thing, but it's actually not.
Okay.
Because remote work is usually when you basically work remotely from your original team, but it can be an office. So, basically, let's say you take a 3 week trip to do some visit or anything, and you will maybe rent an office over there and work from the office. So working from home and remote work are definitely not the same. So that's one thing that people should keep on their mind. And also, it's not the same when you have like a team of maybe 6, 7, 10 people working on a project, and one of them is remote or working from home, and then basically everybody's working. So these are some differences that even we have experienced, even though we had remote work as part of our benefits before. So basically, I would like to just go over a few things that we have experienced with, and that we feel that would be nice to share with people who are working remotely right now. So basically, one of the first things is you're working from home. You need to make sure that you manage your own time and schedule properly. There are basically two things that can happen. One is people postponing start of their actual work during the day, and they
Sure.
always do something else, and then they start working at 3 p.m., which is good for our US-based clients because they will overlap with their working hours, but
Right.
it's maybe not really good for them and their daily routine. And then the other trap that people fall in very often is that basically they just keep working. They start working in the morning, and it's always like, I'm at home, my laptop is open, so I will just try to do one more thing and one more thing. So in general, it's good to try to schedule your exact work hours and stick to them pretty much the same way as you would do if you were working from the office. This is also very useful for your team members because they will have some understanding when they can contact you and that when you are actually, operative working. So that's one thing. The other one is, as I mentioned, try to basically set your daily goals and to stick with them. And then when you achieve it, you are done for the day. Because again, when you are working from home, you can just continue and say, okay, I will just do this one more thing and this one more thing and this one more thing, and very soon, basically, you realize that you are working all day. So this is not good for anybody because very soon you will become unproductive.
That's true. And you burn out. You completely
Exactly.
burn out. They say about all work and no play makes Johnny a very dull boy. So how have you been managing your own schedule and time? Are you able to make a schedule working from home and stick to it?
Well, to be honest, I'm kind of exception here because I live in the same apartment where our office is.
Oh,
So
geez.
I work from the office. Even during the pandemic, I worked from the office. But in general, yeah, I also try to follow these rules that I have. And maybe one more interesting one is basically making sure that you don't have too many distractions. So for me, for example, when I have important meetings or parts of the day where I need to be really focused and productive, I would switch from my home to my actual office, and spend a couple of hours there so that I don't have distractions like, TV or other family members coming in, asking me questions and things like that. And then once I'm done, I can maybe, move back to my home and do some more casual or light work from home with my family, just mingling around. So that's not.
Well, not everyone has that advantage, though, Philip. Working from home, and I certainly go through it myself, you really never completely seem to be off duty. How do you suggest people deal with that who can't go upstairs to their office?
Well, basically, there is option to try to create a home office. So obviously, again, not everybody has enough space for it.
Right.
But in general, it's a very good idea. Sometimes you can just use your bedroom and turn it into the office, and then combined with my previous tip to have a regular work hours, basically even your other family members will know that maybe from 9 to 5, your bedroom is your office and they will not get inside and they will not interrupt you or bother you. And you will also feel a bit more normal, like,
Good luck.
like
Good luck with that, by the way.
I know it can be challenging, but yeah, another thing when we are talking about home office is equipment. So what we have done in our company is basically we offered to all of our employees to come and take any piece of equipment that they need and bring it home. And this can even be a desk and a chair. So not just like your additional mice or monitor, but in some cases, some of our team members actually came and took their chair because they need a comfortable space where they will not be working from their couch or from their bed and then have back issues after 2 days.
Now, how about dealing with your team? Has that been a problem when people have been working at home?
Well, absolutely. I think that's one of the crucial changes that people need to be aware of, because starting from the first minute you start your actual work, when you come into the office, people actually see you and then can wave, they say hi, and you say hi. They know that you're there.
Mhm.
But basically, when you are working remotely, it's a very good practice to kind of check in. And when you start working, just give a quick ping to your other teammates and tell them, hey guys, I'm here. I started working. So
Hmm.
that they know that you are available.
Mhm.
So that's one thing. The other is the actual daily communication, where you should, at least that's what we recommend. You should try not to stick only with texting and emails, but actually try to do some voice calls with video on, so that people can see you, understand you, and exchange much more information in much more efficient way.
Okay. So, what advice do you have for others when they're setting up a home office? What equipment and tools will they need?
Well, basically, as I mentioned, like a good share is always a plus, but then some other things like having a proper monitor is very good thing, because most of us have small laptops which are easy to carry. But then if you are working for a longer period of time, and in order to stay productive, in many cases you will need more real estate on your monitor, more place for your apps, for your
Yes.
code in our case, and things like that. So that's another thing. Then obviously a good pair of headsets and headphones, because you will be spending a lot of time using these when communicating with your team. So it's very crucial that they can hear you well and you can hear them, and this works
Hmm.
without any issues and challenges. And as I said, basically you can go and buy it, but you can also just go and pick it up from your office. I'm sure any other company would also have no issues if their employees would come and take some of the equipment home while they are working remote.
Sure, sure. Yeah, they want them to be productive, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So, what are the opportunities and advantages of working from home that people should be aware of?
Well, yeah, I mean, we were talking a lot about challenges, but there are obviously plus and good things. Otherwise, people would not stick to this. So, from my experience, when I'm talking with our employees, one of the important topics for them is basically commuting time. So, time that they would spend or waste in traffic. And
Hmm.
again, in all the regions that we are working in, parking space is a big issue also. So, they would lose a lot of time in the traffic and then finding a parking space. In
Hmm.
this case, you don't lose this time, and you can use it for anything else, like spend it with your family or do some hobby or whatever you like. Another thing, like we were talking about distractions at home, but there are also distractions at the office. And I'm sure that everybody has experienced it, when you have
Sure.
people just popping into your office, asking you questions, or maybe asking your colleague questions, the one who is sitting next to you, and then basically distracting your focus and then your productivity. So this is something that you will experience less here, because communication is a bit more structured, and you have planned meetings where you will actually be talking about any important topics. One also very big advantage that we are utilizing and using lately is the fact that you can hire remote people. So
Hmm.
before, even for us, it was like only people that can actually come and spend time physically in our office. But these days, like right now, I'm in Kiev in Ukraine, and we used to hire people who only live in Kiev. But nowadays, we would hire people from other cities here and maybe get some really good experts and really good talents that we couldn't reach other way.
Hmm. And that's got to be a real attraction to potential employees that they can work from home.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for them, it's a completely new market of opportunities, because it's not anymore. You just need to look what companies are operating in your city or in your town, but you can work like we are having right now. A couple of candidates that we're hiring, they're living in smaller towns,
Mhm.
and they are not willing to relocate, but they really appreciate the opportunity to work for a company like ours.
Sure, sure. Now, what is the state of affairs overall in the outsourcing space? Obviously, we talked about working remotely and working from home. But what's the overall state of it? Well, it obviously is very fluid, changes all the time. Where are things these days?
Well, basically these days there is huge demand. for more resources and manpower and talents. And basically, we are seeing companies like racing in different offers, including different benefits to get good people on board and to not just get them, but also get them to stay and stick around for a longer period of time. And this is something that that we are also doing, and this is something that is now also becoming kind of additional benefit for our clients, where they don't have to think about it, where it's basically our duty as a company to make sure that their team is happy, that they have good work conditions, that that they are happy with their projects, with their work, that all the benefits that they have, and that they stay, because this is something that's super important for most of our clients. So.
You guys have grown by leaps and bounds. I've done some work for your company, and I've watched you guys grow, and the growth has been crazy over the years. I remember when you had less than 100 people, and then it was 150, and then it was 200. Last year when we did this interview, the other interview, it was 250, and now you're over 350. What do you attribute the growth to?
Well, basically, we are doing two things, and we are trying to grow by two different models. One is expanding to new regions. So just this year, we expanded to 2 more countries. So we are now operating in 6 countries in total. But the other one is also, nurturing our existing offices and, making sure that they feel valued and that also they get all the support that they need from us in order to grow more. So it's not just about opening the new offices and, promoting this, but also making sure that your existing teams and offices are feeling good and that they will still, recommend you to their friend or colleague and say, okay, come work here with us at Quantox. It's great.
Okay. Now, you're obviously always in recruitment mode. That's pretty obvious to me. Why don't you tell the people out there that are listening who might be developers or customer service or other people that would be potential employees, why should they work at Quantox?
Well, yeah, absolutely. As you said, we are always hiring. We are always looking for good talents, and even if you don't have exact open spot or position in one of our teams, if we have application from somebody who we feel is good to become our team member, we would just hire that person. And basically, I would say it's. Why would they come and work with us? I would say it's a combination of 2 things, at least based on the feedback that I'm getting from our team members. That's company culture, where we try to keep it stress-free environment, and where we try to basically make sure that every team member gets proper support, meaning that, if you are a developer and working with us, you will have your project manager, you will have your HR helping you with whatever you need. You will have your system admin helping you with your equipment. You will have your DevOps guy helping you with your dev stuff. So, you will really be able to focus and be the best where you need to be best. And that's the actual development. Second thing are our clients and our projects, which are amazing. And as you know, we are working for a lot of industry-leading companies. And in adult space, especially, this means working on projects that are dealing with huge traffic, huge loads, where you really need to be on top of the game, and be very scalable and be very secured, and make sure that everything is working perfect all the time. But this is kind of adventure and something that's challenging and something where, every developer can grow.
Yeah, as the CEO, I would imagine that your job responsibilities have changed a lot from the time that you had less than 100 employees to having 350 plus. How have you dealt with that?
Yeah, it's always changing. Like actually, yesterday I had a long meeting with my C-level staff, because we are just right now going through one restructuring and basically, adding some new positions and roles that we didn't have before, but we realized that we are maybe missing them. And it's something where basically, you really have to be careful and listen what's happening within your team and then react based on that. It's not always easy to predict upfront, but you need to react quickly if you see that, at some places you need to pay more attention, that maybe some things you need to do differently. You need to basically hear the feedback from your team. That's what we are trying to do.
Yeah.
Just this January, I had personally one-on-one meetings with each and every one of my employees. So it was exhausting. Yeah.
I
And
guess.
So I
How long did that take?
It was 3 weeks, 4 weeks actually.
Wow.
3.5, I would say.
A lot of travel.
So I was traveling to each and every country and city and talking to each and every employee.
Wow.
And everybody had like 30 minutes with CEO to ask any questions, to give any feedback.
Wow.
Because, that can be very, very good, both for them and me. It was a great experience. Yeah. I learned many things about us that maybe I didn't know. Sure. And they had a chance, to ask any questions that they would like. So, yeah.
And I know you, and I know you well, and I know that you care. And what you care about the most, besides your family, is your company, and that your company's doing everything that it should, well, along with your clients, obviously. And that, I'm sure that comes through to the employees, and that's got to make a big difference when the CEO sits down and says, hey, how are we doing? What could we do better?
Well, I believe so. I mean, that's the reason why I decided to do it in this January. And that was like because we had this whole pandemic thing, right? And I realized that there are too many people within our company that have actually started working during the pandemic. And they never, because like when things are normal, we would have like different team building activities. We would have different company events. And, people could use these. We have some meetups. People could use these to maybe, spend a few minutes with me, discuss about, what's going on in the company, what's new and things like that. Sure. But since this was not happening, I realized that there are a lot of people who basically never had a chance to speak with me or some other of our C-level guys and, just understand a bit better where they are, what we do, maybe see a bit bigger picture of the company, maybe hear a bit more about our clients, about our strategies, about our plans. But as I said, also for me, it was very, very useful to hear how they see us.
Okay.
And people were very honest and direct, which I really appreciate. So
that's awesome. Now, back to remote work, homework. How about security? Okay. So you're working from home. From the point of privacy and security, what do people need to know and be aware of?
When you are working from the office, you have much bigger support in this area and also much more limitations in this area, right? Because you are working on the Wi-Fi in the office that's secured. You are working on equipment that's fully secured and things like that. When you are working from home, this is something that to a certain part you need to take care of.
Yeah.
So, but basically what I learned and seen from experience is that sometimes even some very simple things like what I would give as a tip number one to everybody is just don't leave your laptop at your coffee table. Because like in last year, I heard a lot of times, just simple things like, okay, so I got coffee spilled over my laptop, so it's not working. So I lost some of the data inside, or my kid just spilled something and things like that. So it sounds a bit silly, but trust me, sometimes this can be a bigger danger than some, expert hacker who will try to get in your laptop. So
sure.
Yeah, that's on the simple side of things. But basically, I believe that there are some other things that you need to be very, very aware of and careful about, starting with your document management, because basically a lot of confidential documents are now being shared and being worked on and contributed over either Google Docs or some other platform. You need to be very careful who are you sharing it with. and how you're using it so that it doesn't fall in the wrong hands.
Right.
Then there are some other things that people are not aware of, like, for example, your calendar, which people are using extensively when working from home. You need to be aware of that with some new features. Google is actually by default showing the titles of your events to other people. So if I'm to book a meeting with you and basically try to see what are the empty spots and slots in your calendar, I will be able to see the titles of your meetings. So,
no kidding.
Yeah. So you need to be aware
That's
of that.
That's another reason not to use Google for that.
You can obviously disable this, but I can see that many people don't. And then if you put a title like, I don't know, ending cooperation with Quantox, and I see it when I'm making a meeting with you, it can be kind of oops and embarrassing situation.
Well, so, at least you're ready. At least you're ready for it.
Yeah. And then you need to be aware that, if you are working from home or remotely, you are using public Wi-Fi's. This is the traffic that can be monitored, that can be intercepted. Yep. And you should have your office VPN set up and use it all of the time when you are doing something that's confidential and important.
Now, what are the latest trends and how have they been affected or caused by the pandemic?
Yeah, basically there are like few different models or platforms that are like really booming right now. I would say that probably the first one is anything related to subscription-based content, created content.
Sure.
So basically, I believe that one of the reasons for this is just the fact that there are more content producers and there are more people who are willing to become content producers due to quarantine and, not being able to travel or do something else or, attend physical events. So this is definitely something where we get a lot of requests for different type of subscription-based content platforms. Then the second one is definitely everything that has to do with live video. So any kind of live video streaming, we have seen like this industry being doubled in 2020. It was already huge. And there are some projections that in the next 5 years, it will grow to be $150 billion industry. So really, really huge one. Another interesting thing or figure that I have stumbled on recently is that at the moment, 80% of all the internet bandwidth is being spent on live videos. So that's an important thing. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah. And then just like I would say one of the latest things that's becoming trend is progressive web applications. They are here for a long time. Just to give a quick explanation, basically PWA or progressive web applications are websites that provide you a native application experience on a mobile phone, which means that you don't have to actually go on App Store on Google Play to install the app, but you will have an icon on your home screen, and basically you can access it offline, and you can basically have the whole experience of push notifications and other things just the same way as if you had installed application. This is something that's been here for some time, but just recently Google basically changed some of their regulations, and some of the dating industry models are now no longer acceptable on their Google Play Store. And so people need to switch to this kind of model in order to keep their mobile traffic there. So this is something that's really, really.
I would imagine as limiting as Apple is, and like you said, as much as Google has scaled that back, the native apps have to be huge right now.
Always, like native apps are always huge, and it's growing because mobile traffic is growing.
Yep.
So this is something that's kind of, let's say, mandatory. But again, as I said, progressive web apps are becoming very popular, and also because of the fact that you cannot put any adult content on any of the app stores. But if you create a progressive web application, it can be shared on your website. It can be shared via text messaging very easily and installed or on any phone. Also, it's a bit more cost effective because you code it only once compared to native applications where you have to code completely different apps.
So that's the main difference between a native app and a progressive app? I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah.
So with the native app, you need to keep coding it.
With native app, basically you can just code it once. You can have just one team of developers code it for you,
Yeah.
and then you can use it on both platforms, which is quite.
And how's that different from the progressive app? Just to be clear.
Well, basically that's for the progressive apps. So
that's the progressive. You said native.
Exactly.
So you
oh, sorry, my bad. So
right.
on the progressive app, you code it only once, and then you use it on different platforms, like on Apple and on Android phones.
Okay.
But for the native ones, you have to build them in completely different way, right? And the process is much more complex.
So that's all going to be based on basically browsers, right?
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Okay. Interesting. Do you think there will be a time where progressive apps will just kind of take over?
That's very, very hard to predict, to be honest. I believe that they are taking more and more of the space in the mobile development, but we are still seeing also a lot of need for the native applications themselves. So,
and that will also work on laptops and desktops?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Learn something every time I talk to you, Filip. What would your advice be so we're prepared for what's ahead of us?
Well, yeah, as you can see, there are like a lot of changes, and basically what we have witnessed in the last 2 years is something that people like to call forced digitalization, where basically a lot of things that maybe would take years to happened in months. This is good from some point of view, but also what we are seeing is many unstable products and many unsecured products because of the need to build them quickly. So I believe, one of the things to be aware of is that, if you are building a new product and of course you want it built quickly, you need to keep your eyes on that, those two things, making it stable, making it safe, because, later on it can really become an issue for you. And then if you are talking about the future-proof platforms, what is basically starting to become kind of a standard is multi-experience development, and this is something that we are actually promoting strongly in the last year or so. Just to explain quickly what it means, basically these days you are getting much more touch points and different devices that you can use for the same activity. So you can use not just your mobile phone and your laptop, you can also use your virtual glasses, you can use any other wearable like smartwatch, you can use voice assistants, chatbots, a lot of different things. And basically, it's not idea anymore that you just are able to install and use the same software on all of these. It has to be consistent. So basically, it has to be built in a such way where I can start the process on one device and then continue it on another and finish on third one and do it all seamlessly. So this is multi-experience development, and this is something that we are encouraging our clients to adapt because it's becoming kind of standard. So, like very, very simple example would be your Netflix application, where you can start watching the movie on your laptop and then finish on your smart TV, and you don't have to think, what was the last episode that I have seen, or where did I stop, or things like that. So they become like, people get used to these kind of simple things very quickly. And, then if they are missing them, it's very disappointing for your users. So.
Yeah. And I know, I noticed that that's already the case on, for instance, on Amazon.
Yeah. All the bigger platforms are adopting this and trying to follow this as a trend. Then all the food delivery apps that we are working with, e-commerce platforms, you can start your shopping on one device, you are maybe interrupted, you want to continue it later on. It all has to be like fully consistent.
Interesting. Again, I learn a lot every time we talk, Filip. Well, hey, I'd like to thank you once again for being our guest on Adult Site Broker Talk, and I'm looking forward to part 3 at some point in the near future.
Always great talking to you, and always happy when you invite me to one of these talks, and looking forward to that one, as you said.
Me too. My broker tip today has to do with what to do to make your site more valuable for when you decide to sell it later. This will be a multi-part series. First, make sure you're converting as much of your traffic as possible. Traffic's expensive. Whether it's search engine traffic, review site traffic, or affiliate traffic, you paid a lot for it. So make sure that when someone lands on your site, you give them every opportunity possible to either spend money or do whatever it is you want your visitors to do. In the case of a pay site, make sure your billing options allow as many people as possible to buy. Have multiple ways to pay. In North America, most everyone has a credit card, but in other parts of the world, credit cards aren't used nearly as much. In Europe, for instance, credit card usage is low, so look for billing options that will match the areas where your traffic comes from. In Europe, ACH and debit cards are used a lot. In Africa and other developing countries, many people pay by mobile. Do your homework and find out how people pay in the regions you get most of your traffic. It'll make you more money. The worst thing you can do is get a visitor, have them want to buy, but since you don't have their preferred way to pay, they can't. If you're looking for suggestions, feel free to get in touch with me via my website. Along with this is to improve your user experience. Make your site attractive and easy to navigate. People have more options than ever these days. I can't tell you how many sites I go to, even some that are owned by large companies, where the navigation isn't obvious to the user. You poke around the site for what seems like an eternity to do something that should be relatively easy. Keep it simple. Before you launch any changes to your site, ask your friends to go to the site and check it out. Unfortunately, designers and tech geeks don't think like us. You need real people to look at your site for you. The same kind of people who will be visiting your site. Next, make a good offer. If you're selling something and the offer isn't good, you won't make money. It's plain and simple as that. And if your offer is to contact you or to get more information, then make the offer attractive and easy to understand. If you're selling something, make buying easy. Show them an easy way to buy and then leave. Help them by making suggestions on what to buy. Amazon.com is the best at this. They always have suggestions on what to buy based on your buying and browsing history. They use AI to do this. There are AI engines available these days at a modest cost. Look into this if you can. Don't clutter up your site with unnecessary items, buttons, and images. Keep it as simple as possible. The best and most successful sites are the simple ones, the ones that lead you to take the action you'd like them to do. It's not that hard. Just remember, when you're putting together any site, try to think through the buying process like a human being. Whatever you do, don't turn over that process to your designer. Don't just say, build me a website. What you'll get out the other end will not give you what it is you're looking for. Give them as much direction as possible and make it easy for them to build a site for you that makes your business succeed. We'll talk about this subject more next week. And next week, we'll be talking again to freelance writer Michael McGrady. And that's it for this week's Adult Site Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Filip from Quantox Technology. Talk to you again next week on Adult Site Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.